Welcome everyone to another edition of the Comic Review. My name is Eric, and today we're going to be looking at Part 3 of the Path of Doom storyline in Action Comics number 959. So this is, like I said, Part 3 of Path of Doom. It is written by Dan Jurgens and illustrated by Tyler Kirkham. I'm really enjoying this storyline. We're getting a lot of insight into what's going on in all the different characters' heads. The fight seems to be a little bit dragging out. It's almost like a Dragon Ball Z fight, or your memories of what a Dragon Ball Z fight is that the Monday episode starts the fight, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is the characters powering up to finally Friday throw a punch, and then just to start all over again on Monday. So I feel like that's kind of what we're doing because of the fact that we're concentrating so much on just this fight with Doomsday, and everything is revolving around this fight with Doomsday, that, you know, I feel like we're, again, 3 parts in, we're not advancing the plot of what is going on with Doomsday. We're basically more or less going over all the different characters' perspectives of what's going on and basically using this story arc to explain the different motivations of the characters. We're getting a lot of internal thoughts and everything from the post-crisis Lois Lane and her views of the previous battle with Superman and Doomsday back in the 90s, and that's a lot of what these opening pages of this issue is kind of her perspective on what's going on. But I like how we're giving readers a look into what's going on with her and her emotional state during this, especially with Jonathan, where she's having to show a brave front with him, despite the fact that she knows the outcome of the original fight, and this is kind of mirroring that fight. You know, she's very worried that something's going to happen to Clark, despite the fact of having to hide that knowledge from Jonathan and trying to assure him that everything's going to be okay, kind of shielding him for the terrible horror that may soon be upon their family. Though I will say that, seeing as how we just brought this version of Superman back fully as the main Superman, pretty sure Superman's going to get through this not unscathed, but he's going to pull through in this fight this time. So like I said, a lot of this issue is dealing with the fight between Superman and Doomsday. We also get Luthor in there. As of the last issue, Luthor's suit has been tore up. He's kind of out of the fight at the beginning, though we do get the revelation, although we already knew this looking at other books, that Luthor has a mother box with him. He's got Apocalypse technology, so he's actually able during the course of this issue to repair his suit, which was damaged in the last issue. We also get some more with Clark and Jimmy Olsen. When I say Clark, I mean the depowered, seemingly human Clark Kent that's running around, not Superman. That's the distinction I'm making and trying to make in this video, and if I slip, I'm sorry. But when I'm referring to Clark, I mean depowered Clark Kent. When I'm referring to Superman, I'm meaning blue tights, red cape Superman. Clark is still trying to indicate to Jimmy, and in other cases, other characters, that he is not Superman at all. He does not have flight. He does not have super strength, heat vision, any of these things. He's just plain old Clark Kent, though he keeps alluding to something that he knows something's going on. Mr. Oz is also in different parts of this issue, watching the action go on, and he's already made statements in past issues that the current Superman and the previous Superman are not what they believe they are to be. We get a little bit of that in this issue, kind of peeling back some more layers slightly. During the fight, Superman gets Doomsday into the sewers, trying to get him away from the surface and away from innocent bystanders. During this exchange that goes on in the sewers, part of the road gives way and Clark falls in. So this is actually one of the first meetings between Clark Kent and Superman in this storyline. I can't remember if they met each other in part 1 or not, but in part 2 I don't recall them ever meeting. But this is them actually sitting down having a conversation while Superman is keeping Doomsday at bay. Now I'm going to pause here just for 1 second. This was the first DC book I read this week. The thing about this one was this. The scene has Clark fall down into the sewers. Then on that page, the very next page next to it, without flipping, the next page to the right, is a advertisement for Wonder Woman and the rebirth era for her and everything. You flip the page and we get the writer and look at articles or whatever that were in that DC special previews issue that came out months ago, showing all the new books and everything, and that had all the different articles and everything about all the new creator teams and what was going to be going on in those books. So DC's been sprinkling those, at least the Batman, Superman, and now Wonder Woman, into the various books every month or so. So the funny thing is that they drop that in there, then you turn the page, and it threw me off for a second because it's then Superman and then Batman out of nowhere showing up, fighting Doomsday, and the art styles were similar enough that just going through my first read through, I turned the page, and I'm like, what the heck's Batman doing here during this Doomsday fight? And then I look over, and it's like, Batman's gonna handle it. Then we turn to the next page, and it's Wonder Woman as Doomsday, and it's a Snickers commercial. It's a 3-page Snickers commercial in the middle of this book because apparently we couldn't put enough articles in there. It's kind of like the Overwatch advertisements that have been in books as well around those pages. So it just, I don't know about you guys, but it just threw me off for a second. I was like, what is going on here? And then I realized, oh, it's a Snickers commercial essentially in the middle of this book. So I just found it funny that it was the first book I read that was the Doomsday story, and they basically established that when Wonder Woman is angry, that she becomes Doomsday until she gets a Snickers bar and subsides the hunger. So it was well played in that book. I mean, it wouldn't have. I probably wouldn't have fallen for it as much if I would have read Detective Comics first or Nightwing or anything like that. But the fact that they threw that in Action Comics in the middle of the Doomsday fight, like I said, it just threw me off completely. I had to do a double take on what was actually going on in the book. So we get back over to the actual fight. Superman tells Clark that he's gonna save him, get him out of there, and Clark's like, "Oh, save me like you did before months ago, had me go into hiding." So Clark Kent has interacted with a Superman at some point. And again, I think this is what we're going to get into with how we're going to solve the problem of Superman and Clark Kent, or Superman getting the Clark Kent identity back, is that something has got to happen to this Superman. We don't know who this Superman is. I said it, I think, in the last review on Action Comics that I had a couple different theories as to it could have been like a depowered pre-Crisis version, or something having to do with the Earth's not combining in Crisis on Earth's creating this other Superman on the Earth, or what have you. But there's definitely something going on. Some Superman or somebody posing as Superman had this person, if this person's story is true, had this Clark Kent go into hiding at some point months ago to keep some secret safe. It's interesting that there's something going on with this Clark Kent, and unfortunately I feel like a dark fate is going to happen upon him in part 6 of the storyline, or before that. Like I said, I feel like this Clark Kent is going to die, but he's going to die out of the public view, and which will allow Superman to be able to resume the dual identity that we had before. So Luthor shows up, he takes Clark to safety, in which he, says the same things that everyone else, that Jimmy's been saying to him this entire time about, oh, you were Superman, da, 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 and Clark has to say, no, I'm not, I'm Clark Kent, I am not Superman. He's getting very agitated and angry about it. And again, we don't know what's going on there. If you have any theories as to who Clark Kent could be, we're assuming that the Superman we're seeing is the pre-Flashpoint version, but at this point, not really sure who's who. So we get back to Superman. He's using his heat vision to keep Doomsday at bay, realizing that he can't fight him in a close quarters match, so he's got to try to keep him as far away from him as possible. So while using the heat vision, Doomsday, who's growing intelligent, I guess, rips out a gas main that he conveniently had within reach, and causing the heat vision to spark, and it actually takes out a good chunk of downtown Metropolis. There's a big giant crater there at this point in the story. Clark was near the explosion. He's stumbling to get back on his feet, and he looks up and he sees this shadowy character coming out of the rubble and everything, and it's Doomsday. So we have no idea where Superman is at this point, but Doomsday had survived the blast, and he is coming after Clark. And that is where the issue ends. We do get a little indication at the bottom of the page, on the last page, that Wonder Woman is going to be showing up. Which should be interesting because New 52, Superman and Wonder Woman were dating for the majority of the New 52's run. They actually got together, I believe, in Justice League number 12. It's going to be quite interesting to see Superman's non-ex-girlfriend, however you want to classify her, show up and interact. I actually don't know what's going on with her and him in Justice League, because I actually didn't read it last week. It's sitting right there on my desk. It's part of the queue for the channel. I actually haven't read it yet for whatever reason. I'll probably do that later this afternoon or tomorrow, but you guys don't care about that. Unless you do, let me know. Overall, I did enjoy this issue. The characters for me are what's grabbing me. Like I've said before, like in Green Lanterns and some other books, the concept of decompressed storytelling I'm not really fully enjoying, haven't really enjoyed. Just because I feel like I would rather have more stories in a sense, and instead of dragging out one story over 6 issues, I'd rather get 2, if not 3 stories in a 6-month time frame. But that's just me. I miss shorter stories. I miss running subplots that go on for however long, just, you know, making the books interesting, the whole waiting for the trade thing. However, I haven't been overly against what's going on in this book, because of the fact that I feel like with the way characters are being portrayed and the slow reveal of certain information and whatnot, I feel like this book isn't too awfully taking advantage of the decompressed format. And even the original fight with Doomsday, I mean, that went through at least 1 month of Superman titles, and there was 4 at the time, plus I think 1 or 2 issues of Justice League. So, I mean, it's a whole entire trade that is, and I don't have mine. It's in a box somewhere. I can't reference it at all. But I mean, it's a whole entire trade that was just a fight. I'm enjoying this book. Definitely going to keep going with it. Mainly because I really want to know who this Clark Kent is, and I'm really curious as to whether or not we're going to get a return to the dual identity of Clark Kent. What we're going to do with that, because we also haven't seen Lois, New 52 Lois in this series yet. Probably saving her for Superwoman, which I think that might come out this month, and I can't remember off the top of my head. I know Supergirl doesn't come out until September, so, but yeah, I'm just kind of curious as to what's going to happen with these characters. I'm very hooked into the series so far. So let me know what you guys thought about this issue in the comments. Were you thrown off by the Snickers ad like I was, or were you not that feeble-minded? Do you have any theories on your own of what Clark Kent is and how he ties into the whole mythos? Are you excited to see the reunion between Superman and his ex but not really girlfriend, Wonder Woman? Let me know what you think in the comments. And I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in to this edition of the Comic Review. We put out new videos every week, so go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel for more reviews on DC and Marvel, and anything else that you guys suggest I should take a look at. And I will see you guys in the next review. Later.